Imagine coming home after a long day, kicking off your shoes, and your husband, the man you married, the man you built a life with, sits you down and says, completely seriously, "You need to make your parents leave. My mom is upset, not because your parents did anything wrong, not because there was some kind of conflict, but because his mother, across town, in her own house, was envious. Envious that your parents got to live with you. Envious of the relationship you had with them. Envious that you opened your own home, the home you owned, to the people who raised you. And her solution? Her son's solution? Evict them. I need you to stay with me for this entire story. Because what unfolds is not just about one selfish demand. It is about a woman slowly realizing that the man sleeping next to her had been choosing his mother's feelings over her dignity for years, and she had been too in love to see it. All right, story time. Our narrator, let's call her Maya, is 34 years old. She's a project manager, sharp, hardworking, deeply family-oriented. She bought her house at 29, on her own, before she even met her husband Daniel. That detail matters, hold on to it. She met Daniel at a mutual friend's wedding. He was charming, the kind of guy who remembers your coffee order on the second date and makes your parents laugh within 10 minutes of meeting them. Her parents adored him, and honestly, that meant everything to Maya. Her parents, her father, 68, recovering from a mild stroke, and her mother, 65, who'd been his caretaker, were the center of her world. When her dad had his stroke 2 years into their marriage, the decision to have her parents move in was not even a debate for Maya. It was her house, it was her family, and her parents needed her. Daniel agreed. At least, he said he agreed. What Maya didn't fully register at the time was the look on his mother Patricia's face when she found out. Patricia is the kind of woman who measures love in comparisons. If her son does something for his wife's family, it means, in her math, that he's doing less for her. She has 2 other adult children, a husband, her own home, her own life. She wanted for nothing. But the moment Maya's parents moved into that spare bedroom, something shifted in Patricia. She started calling more, dropping by more, making little comments. Must be nice having so much help around the house. I hope Daniel isn't feeling crowded. You know, in our culture, the husband's parents usually come first. Maya brushed it off, Daniel brushed it off. Life moved forward. For about 8 months, everything was fine. And then one Tuesday evening, Daniel came home, sat down at the kitchen table, and said the words that changed everything. "Maya, I think it's time we talked about your parents' living situation." She thought he meant logistics, maybe a bigger room, maybe some privacy adjustments. She pulled out a chair and sat down, totally open. What came out of his mouth instead made her stomach drop. He said his mother had been really struggling emotionally, knowing that Maya's parents were living with them. That it made Patricia feel like she wasn't valued, that it was causing tension in his relationship with his parents. Maya stared at him. "So, what are you suggesting?" Daniel took a breath. "I think your parents need to find their own place. Or maybe stay with your brother for a while." Maya's brother lived 4 states away. Her father couldn't travel like that. Her mother had structured her entire life around his care routine. She asked him to repeat himself, just to make sure she'd heard it correctly. He did. And here is where the red flags Maya had minimized for years suddenly appeared in full color. She started thinking back. There was the time Daniel had complained that her parents always got the best seat at family dinners. She had laughed it off. There was the time he'd said, offhandedly, that his mother felt Maya didn't respect her, because Maya hadn't asked Patricia for her recipe before cooking for a gathering. She had apologized. Actually, apologized. There was the time he had skipped her father's physical therapy appointment that he'd promised to drive him to, because his mother had called and wanted him to come fix something at her house. Every single time, Patricia's feelings had been treated as an emergency. Maya's needs, and her parents' needs, had been treated as adjustable. She had seen these moments individually and explained them away. Love has a way of doing that to you. It makes you a very generous editor of someone else's behavior. But sitting at that kitchen table, hearing her husband tell her to remove her elderly, vulnerable parents from her own home, the home she had bought, the home she had paid the mortgage on for 5 years before he ever put a single dollar into it, something inside her went very, very still. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She asked one question. "Did your mother ask you to do this?" Daniel paused just a half second too long. She just expressed that she was hurt. "I'm trying to find a solution." Maya nodded slowly. She said she needed a few days to think. Daniel seemed relieved, like the hard part was over. He had no idea it was just beginning. Maya didn't sleep that night. She lay in the dark replaying 5 years of marriage like a film she'd watched with the wrong subtitles. The meaning was different now. The next morning, while Daniel was at work, she did something she never thought she'd do. She went through his phone. She wasn't looking for another woman. She was looking for something else entirely, and she found it. There was a text thread between Daniel and Patricia. Long, detailed, going back months. Patricia had been building a case. Message after message, strategically crafted, complaints about Maya's parents taking over, suggestions that Daniel was losing himself in Maya's family, insinuations that Maya was using him, that she didn't respect his family, that her parents being there was a form of control. And Daniel had not defended his wife once. Not once. Instead, he had responded with things like, "I know, Mom, I'll handle it, and you're right. It's been hard, and the one that made Maya sit down on the bathroom floor, I should have put my foot down earlier. I'll fix it. Fix it." Like her parents were a problem he'd let get out of hand. This is the kind of story that floods the Reddit cheating stories and relationship advice communities every single day. Not always infidelity with another person, but a different kind of betrayal. A husband who had been emotionally checked out of his marriage, quietly co-signing his mother's narrative, allowing her to shape his perception of his own wife, for months, without Maya knowing a single word of it. She kept scrolling. It got worse. There were messages from 3 months ago where Patricia had outright said, "If you let this continue, she will always choose her family over you. Is that the marriage you want?" And Daniel had replied, "No. I'll talk to her soon." He had been planning this conversation for 3 months. He had let his mother build the case, handed him the script, and he had sat down at that kitchen table and delivered it, presenting it as his idea, his concern, his solution. Maya sat on that bathroom floor for a long time. Then she stood up, washed her face, and made 2 phone calls. The first was to her attorney. The second was to her mother. When Daniel came home, Maya was calm, almost unnervingly calm. She told him she'd thought about what he said. He looked hopeful. Then she placed her phone on the table, the text thread open, and slid it toward him. The color left his face. He tried several things in quick succession, explaining, minimizing, apologizing, blaming his mother's mental health, calling it all a misunderstanding. Maya listened to every word without interrupting. When he finished, she said, "This is my house, Daniel. I bought it. My name is on the deed. My parents are staying. What I need you to decide is whether you are staying." The silence that followed was enormous. Daniel said he loved her, that he didn't want a divorce, that he would cut his mother off, set boundaries, do whatever it took. Maya told him that actions were going to matter a lot more than promises at this point, and that she'd be consulting a lawyer regardless, just to understand her options, just to know where she stood. Over the following weeks, they entered couples counseling. The therapist, to Daniel's visible discomfort, identified the pattern within the first 2 sessions, a deeply enmeshed relationship between Daniel and his mother, one where Patricia's emotional comfort had functionally been placed above his wife's for the entirety of their marriage. Patricia was told, firmly, that she was not welcome in their home until significant repair work had been done. She reacted exactly as Maya expected, with outrage, with victimhood, with claims that Maya had poisoned Daniel against her. Daniel, for the first time, did not call his mother back to soothe her. Maya said it was the first moment she felt even a small thread of hope. So here is where we land. Maya has not filed for divorce. Yet. She and Daniel are still in counseling. Her parents are still in that house, her father still doing his therapy, her mother still making Sunday breakfast for the family. But Maya is different now. She says she loves Daniel, but she no longer trusts him the way she did. And she's not sure she ever fully will again. Because here is the truth of this story: he didn't raise his hand. He didn't have an affair. But he sat in his mother's corner, quietly, for months, and let her dismantle his wife's sense of security in her own home. That is its own kind of betrayal. Now I'm turning it over to you. What would you have done in Maya's position? Would you have stayed and tried to rebuild? Or would that text thread have been the last thing you needed to see? And here's the harder question: how many of us have already dismissed a red flag just like the ones Maya ignored, because love made it look smaller than it was? Drop your verdict in the comments. I read every single one. If this story hit different, if you found yourself nodding, or furious, or emotional, subscribe to Confession Verdict. We bring you real Reddit stories, real pain, real decisions, every single week. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Because some verdicts, they change the way you see everything. I'll see you in the next one.